and I know more might come in, but we're recording now. And so tonight's topic is on iPhone and iPad troubleshooting. And I've got a list of a few things that are some typical ones, and truth be told, I learned many of these from my kids because they are the experts on a lot of these things. So they've given me some good tips, and I'll pass those on to you too. I do have a troubleshooting sheet that I'll send out to you guys with basically what I'm kind of going over and reading over today. So, and if you have any questions, please pop in, or questions or comments or tips that you have. This is definitely a sharing session, so please feel free. And I'm going to try and use my phone and show on the camera certain things. I think you can see it a little bit, so we'll try that. I would use my iPad, but it's dead right now. So from the kids watching Netflix on it, I think, or something. Who knows what they're doing. Okay, so one of the first things that we run into a lot of issues with, or we did before we got our new phones, is storage. And I know we run into that issue with the iPads at Holy Spirit too, that there's just too many apps on there. There's not enough available space, and so you can't do updates. You sometimes can't, update all your apps, those kinds of things. And so some of the things you can do when it comes to storage is I'm going to be using a lot. I'm going to be going into settings a lot, and so that's the Gear app up there. So I'm going to go into settings, and in here it talks about you can go into general. You have to scroll down a little bit, and when I go into general, I can go down to storage and iCloud usage. Okay, and when I do that, storage and iCloud usage. Then if I scroll down, manage storage manage storage is next. And then what's nice about this is that it has all of my apps come up, and it shows how much memory or how much storage each of those apps are taking up. So it's nice because then I can go in and see, my photos, for instance, are 1.7 gigs right now, which is a lot. So what I need to do is I need to go into my photos and upload those. Go into my Dropbox and upload all my photos and videos, and then I'll go in my photos and delete those. That will save up a lot of my space. And I do use Dropbox. And Dropbox, it's an app that it saves all your pictures, videos, all documents, all kinds of stuff in the cloud. But you can also download it to a hard drive. So then, like my laptop here, when I save from Dropbox, it goes from my phone to the cloud to this laptop. So it's in both places, the laptop and the cloud. And right now, a lot of it's on my phone, which I got to do some cleanup. But then you can see then too, like if there's some of these apps that you rarely use, or maybe don't use at all, and you're seeing that it's taking up some of your storage, get rid of them. And especially like me, I play games for a while, and then I get really tired of them, and I don't play them anymore, and I forget to delete them. Just remember, they're still taking up space on your device, and you can delete them, but they're still under your account. So even if you delete them, and if you paid for it once or whatever, you can download it again at another time. It's in your account. So just keep that in mind. So clean that kind of stuff up. This was a big one that really helped us with storage. Another thing is just to kind of look at just whatever apps you have, and if you've got a lot, again, like you haven't used for a while, get rid of them. Folders are great too. You can see I have lots of folders in my iPad or on my iPhone, but you got to be careful of that because like now you could have several pages in that folder, and so you may think, oh, I only have 6 in there. Well, really, you could have. And you really need to kind of make sure you get in there and check those out and clean that out every once in a while. As I mentioned, I use Dropbox for my photos and things, and I'll just kind of go in there right now too. And if I click on, and all I have to do is I'm in Dropbox, and if I click on photos, it's just going to say I need to upload 28 of them. And it's just plopping them up there as we're talking right now. Okay. And so that's kind of nice then. It doesn't do it automatically. You do have to go into Dropbox, click photos, and then it starts uploading. So that's kind of a thing to remember. If you want to stop that, just click your home button twice and swish up. That closes your apps out as well, which you want to do often because, as you can see, I have several of them open because, it's just too handy to have. Okay, I had a lot open there. That was kind of embarrassing. But so make sure you go through and close those out too because that sucks up your battery and stuff too. Let's see. Oh, and one thing about deleting photos, this is a bugger. And this is something new that came out, probably an update or two ago. Let's say that you have some photos and you want to delete some, right? So you click select up at the top and you click on a picture and you click trash. And you're like, yay, delete photo, I trashed it. Wrong. It's not deleted yet. What you need to do is you need to go back to collections and let's see. I think I gotta go to albums. Yeah, go to albums. And if you go down to recently deleted, so albums and recently deleted, you have to delete these again from here if you really want them off your phone.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something new, the last few updates. So make sure you check that out too because you might be like, well, I deleted all that. How come, the storage didn't go down? Well, it's because you have to go in and you have to hit recently deleted and delete them. And again, you have to click them one at a time, which kind of, but I guess it's their way to fail safe so you don't delete something you really want. But that was another one that kind of changed things a little bit too. Any questions on those issues so far? Or thoughts?
Nope.
Do you guys use Dropbox?
No, I don't. Cheryl doesn't.
Okay. Oh, yeah, maybe.
Is Shutterfly the same thing as Dropbox, essentially, or is it different?
I think it is, but I don't know what their cloud storage is. Like, I can upload photos to that, but I don't know how many they'll store. Like, I do pay for Dropbox because I have all of Dave's stuff, all of Elizabeth's stuff, all of my stuff going up there because then it's all in one place, and then I can put it in folders and divvy it out and stuff. So,
yeah, okay.
Vicky's doing some crazy stuff in her car. We see you, Vicky.
I know, but you were gone for a while. First you froze, and then you disappeared, and I don't know. You're back.
Cool. And Amy, you look like you're doing somersaults, Amy Roy. I mean,
sorry, I had
a baby's kicking.
I had not a baby, a puppy in my room, and I was trying to get her out.
Oh, my puppy's in with Elizabeth right now too. Because
I didn't think you wanted a visitor.
Meg had a good question here too. She's asking, what about messages? She's using 420 megabytes. Yeah. I do like to keep a lot of my messages, because then you can kind of see past conversations and stuff too. I mean, I got a crap load of them. I really do. But I do go through those periodically and I delete old ones. Yeah. Like I'll scroll all the way to the bottom. I'm still scrolling. That's how many I have. But then I'll start deleting those too because, they do take up room as well. But I do like to keep them, too, for some of them for just, like I said, just for past conversations or what did I tell her I was doing or, that kind of thing. But but if you scroll all the way to the bottom, that's the ones that are the oldest and those are typically safe to get rid of. And all you have to do is swish them to the right or click edit. And you click the dots in front of it, and then you press delete. Okay.
I do have a question, Mary.
Yeah.
Okay, what about my photo stream? Should we be deleting those, or do we keep those on for photos?
I don't use PhotoStream, mainly because at our house, we have one iTunes account. And so that way we can monitor what apps the kids download, music, all that kind of stuff. And they don't have the password. We do, so they still have to come ask us for stuff. So we don't use PhotoStream because then I would get all of Elizabeth's stuff, Dave, and we'd all get each other's stuff. And so I don't use that. Do you have your own account or do you share an account?
I don't know, but some of my pictures go into my photo stream, and should I be deleting those? probably.
You can,
Yeah,
you can.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, because photo stream is basically you're sharing your photos within the
Right.
people that are underneath your Apple ID.
Okay.
Can you just turn photo stream off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I turned
Yeah.
mine off.
In settings?
Yeah, in settings.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
a place to turn that off.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I know sometimes we get at school, we're getting the other teachers'
Yep,
photos, and then if I figure out who they are, I'll go talk to them and
yep. And that's exactly
tell
what's
them to turn
happening.
it off.
They have photo stream.
Okay.
Yep, that's
Okay,
exactly
I
right.
got it. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
Other questions or thoughts so far? All right, so then I'll move on to battery. This next tip comes from Miss Elizabeth Trent. She constantly, her phone is like dying on her. She got the new iPhone 6. She's got a newer phone than Dave and I do. Imagine that. But she told us too that, and it does work. I tried it. If you're in settings and you switch it to airplane mode, it will charge faster.
Oh,
So
Yep. Caleb told me the same thing. Crazy.
oh,
if you need to charge it quick, switch it on airplane mode. And that basically turns off a lot of your, it's basically turning off your wireless, so everything, not everything's pinging, and so then it can charge faster. The other thing too, I think I wrote this down, didn't I? Because I just researched it. Yeah, then my next point, there you go. Hey, I'm smart. Anker, Anker. That is, I did some research. That's the best brand name for things like charging cords. If you want to get portable chargers, like I bought Dave, I think it was like $20 on Amazon. I did some research on it. Like when he does his grilling and cookout things, he doesn't have a place to plug his phone in overnight, because he stays overnight and cooks all night. It's kind of crazy. That's why I don't go. But anyway, he needs a portable charger. And so I got one of those for him. And like I said, I did some research, and Anker is the best brand name that I found that was reviewed really high. Also, if you get some charging cords, like from Amazon or some other places, sometimes those cords, it comes up and says it doesn't recognize the cord or something like that. So you want to make sure whatever you buy is Apple approved. And so like if you're on Amazon, like I said, that's where I do a lot of shopping. That make sure, and I the last ones I ordered, it said, Apple approved, blah, 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 blah. They still cut out on us. And so these Anker ones, that's why I want to do better research on it. And so these Anker ones have proven to be very good. So that's just a little tip for you there too. I don't have a portable charger yet, but I think it's in my near future of getting one. But Dave needed one a little bit more than I did. So I just kind of talked about too, like for battery life too, closing your apps like I did, like how many I had open. Make sure you do that every once in a while. Another thing too, when it gets to 20% on your iDevices, you need to plug in. It's not good for your iPhone or iPad to go down to 0, for it to die. So it's important when it hits that red. If you'll notice, usually when it's at 20%, it hits red, that you want to plug it in. We've done that since the beginning of our iPhones, and we haven't had any issues with them. So another thing, I watched a couple of videos too about, again, saving battery life. One suggestion was to go to settings and iTunes in the App Store and turn off your auto updates. I did turn that off on mine. What that means is basically the apps won't automatically update. I have to go in and actually update them, which is not a big deal. You just click the App Store and everything that's listed. You just click update. But that automatic update, that prevents it from constantly, again, pinging back and forth to seeing if there's an update up there. So that's another one to turn off. And then privacy settings and location settings, I turn those off as well too. Some of those that I don't need. Let me show you, for instance, I do the same thing with cellular data, which I'll get to in a second too. But there's some apps that really do need your location for them to work, but a lot of them don't, and they work fine without it. And so, obviously something like Around Me, the app Around Me, where you got to find things that are around your GPS area, you need your location turned on. But other things like, I don't know, 1010, that does not need your location. So make sure you kind of go through those and check, and if they don't need it, then turn those off too. That'll help. Let's see. And then another thing too that is kind of set to this preset under general. Again, if you set your auto lock to 1 minute, that means like it goes to sleep after a minute. So instead of, and I think it can go up to like 5 or something like that before it turns off. So, all right, Meg has a question or something here too. My kids told me to make sure my backlight is not on all the way. I am old and cannot see, so I have it. Okay, good point, Meg.
Yeah.
And also, what you can do under your brightness is turn on the auto brightness. That way your phone adjusts to whatever light settings you're in. And my kids, and I think it's because they want to sneak stuff, but they have theirs down so low, so dim, I can't see either. So, but that auto brightness, that was another suggestion to turn that on so to save some battery life and things too. Any questions on batteries?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cellular data. Again, we have teenagers, so every once in a while we get the little message like, you have used up 90% of your cellular data this month. And for the longest time, we couldn't figure out why. What were we doing? We're at home. We have wireless at home. Are you really on Instagram that much at school? At school you're on the network. So it just didn't make sense to us. And then, of course, Miss Elizabeth Trent came to the rescue again and told us that you need to go, when you go into settings, if you go into cellular and scroll down, again, it's showing you all your apps that's using your cellular data. And there's so many of those that they work just fine without that because you're at home. There's a couple that I have turned on because there's a couple that are like my go-tos. Like if I'm sitting in a waiting room and I want to, do this or that, I leave those on. But I turned probably 20 or 30 of them off that I didn't even know was on. And lo and behold, we don't get that message anymore about our cellular data. So that was the issue. And I turned off a lot of them. But like some of them, like, when I go into a store, I kind of want them to know I'm in there so I get a coupon that pops up, too. So some of those I leave. But, some of them I turn off too. But keep that in mind too, that that's a big one. If you get that message about cellular data,
so like, for example, I have a question about so all recipes and my app store, I have those turned on. So turn those off.
Yep. Basically that means they work fine. Except for like if you're like in your car and you want to look it up, you know what I mean? Where you're not on a wireless network. And you can always go back in and turn it back on when you want to look at it.
Right.
And then turn it off.
Okay.
Mary, there was something else in those too. I think my kids turned off something about their LTE or something, and they said that would cut down on their data usage as well.
Yeah, you're right. I have mine off too. Enable LTE. I'm not really sure what it is.
I think what it means is it won't allow you to not use, I think it's like the LTE is like an extended service area if you're out of your regular, like your 3G network.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So you're not using extra data when you're out of your zone or something.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good idea too. Okay. Let me see where I am. We covered a lot. Okay. And then just some general, like iPad, iPhone, troubleshooting things. Basically, if you have an app that like freezes and it won't move or won't do anything, obviously, click the home button, click it twice, and then swish it up and close it out. And most of the time when you come back in and open it again, it will work. However, though, too, if your whole phone or your iPad is acting weird or whatever, then hold down your home button and your on-off button. With this, on my phone, it's on the side. Sometimes they're up at the top, depending upon your device, and do a force shutdown. If all else fails, that will shut everything down and then wait a few minutes and then power it back up. And 99.9% of the problems are fixed that way with your phone or and that's not really a problem with a specific app. It's more so like maybe like, ever happened where it zoomed way in for no reason and you don't know how to get back out of it or something like that. That's happened before on my iPad especially. And so then I've just, shut it down and brought it back up because I've tried different ways to try and get it to not be so big and I couldn't. So that was the only way I could fix that. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And I can't stress enough, and it makes me want to throw up when I see kids walk around the hallway without a case on their phone. Oh, people, put a case on it. This, I swear by OtterBox, that's what I bought for every device I've ever owned, for school, at school, and at home. All of us have OtterBox cases. I don't take insurance out on my phone because OtterBox has been great. They are getting much, much better too. The last couple series, they're a little more slimming. They're not so bulky as they used to be. And the rubber and things are fitting much better. They used to kind of gap a little bit here and there. So they're working much, much better. But love, love, love them. And speaking of which, as I'm looking at all my fingerprints on my screen, I use alcohol wipes. You can get them at Walmart and stuff. And Costco has a box where they're just little like packets, like wet nap packets. You know what I mean? Those little packets.
We have them. Yeah, we have them at Holy Spirit.
Yep.
They
work the best. You never want to use like Clorox wipes or anything like that on them because the alcohol works because it cleans and it disinfects, but it evaporates quickly. And that's what you want. It's the moisture that's why you don't want to use like the Clorox wipe because they're too wet and they could damage it just like water if it got wet. Speaking of getting it wet, one time Miss Elizabeth took her phone into the bathroom and it ended up in the toilet. And so we saved it by, again, I think most of you probably know this, throwing it into a bowl with rice and letting it take the cover completely off, take everything off, apart, wipe as much liquid off as you can and throw it in some rice. And I would say leave it overnight, and one of the things too is if it falls in the water and gets wet, do not try to turn it back on because that will probably fry it. So you just want to just take it right apart, don't turn it back on, and put it right in the right rice and let it sit overnight to dry out. So those are my little tips for tonight. How about other ones that you guys have? I will add those to our list too.
Mary, I've actually had to go in when I'm sending a text message and it won't go through. And I've taken it to the store and I have to go into settings and go into reset. And then it doesn't take any of my messages or pictures or anything, but then I have to let it, go off by itself, come back on, and then I have to go back and, set any of my sounds or my fonts or size, any of that.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I've had that happen several times, and I've only had my phone like a year and a half, and taking it to Verizon, and they told me to do. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah. And do you guys also have like cloud storage, like iCloud storage? Because I use that, and we have that. Nice about that, it's like when you do upgrade, everything goes right over. If you have if iCloud storage. When I upgraded to this phone, was that last year? I did do a backup to Verizon Cloud, and I also did a backup to the iCloud, mainly because if I lost my contacts, I would be lost. That was the biggest thing that I was worried about. I didn't really care about apps and music. It was my contacts. Like, that's my life. I can't lose those, especially with, my son Tyler and some of his issues. I've got, doctors and therapists and this and that and all that stuff. And I can't do that stuff. I would be in trouble. So that was the main thing that I wanted to make sure that I had. So I do have that stuff backed up on the iCloud too.
The iCloud, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So did you have to pay an extra fee for that, like to do the Verizon Cloud?
Yep.
And how much was that?
I think the Verizon Cloud comes with your account. I don't think you have to pay any extra for that.
Okay. I think I have that already. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the iCloud, I do pay extra for that storage.
And what if they say that you don't have enough storage, so then you have to purchase more?
Yep.
Or delete photos and stuff, right?
Yep. Yep. And usually I just go ahead and buy more because I mean it's a never ending thing. You know, that's why I just finally went and bought the Dropbox, and that's a terabyte of storage. But I mean, I did that before Elizabeth went to Washington D.C. and stuff. You know, because what's she gonna do with all of her pictures? You know, and to this day she has not printed those off because she just goes online and look at them. You know, that's just I haven't printed off photos for probably about a year now, which is kind of crazy, but. You know, it's all online. They're all in nice folders, and they're all chronologically put in there. So I'm like, well, that kind of.
And they're easy to access through Dropbox.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I like it too because, like, when Mom passed away and stuff, I took lots of pictures of like her apartment and things like that, and I was able then to that folder with all my brothers and sisters, and so they had all those photos just like that then too. So it was really nice and. You know, and what I shared with them, they just created a free account and they had all that stuff then.
Okay, good.
And it was easy to do. It had to be because my sisters did it. So my brother too. So hey, they can cook. I can cook a little, but they can bake and they can grow plants like crazy. Now I can do technical stuff. So we all have our talents.
Yeah.
All right. Any other pieces of tidbits?
Speaking of printing photos, if anybody wants to print photos off tonight, Shutterfly is having a sale where you can print 101 photos for free, and you just have to pay for the shipping. So
really?
Yeah, usually under $10 to print 101 photos, but the sale goes off tonight at midnight. So
wow. Okay. So
are they any size, Amy, or just certain sizes?
Just 4x6s.
4x6.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I might have to print some off now. That's a really good deal.
I'm looking. I took Jared Senior pictures, and I still need to print those, but I don't want 4x6s. I need smaller than that.
Yeah, that's a really awesome deal.
You might be able to order smaller, but that's just what I've always gotten.
Other additions or anything?
I was going to ask Cheryl, where do we have those wipes at Holy Spirit for the iPads?
They are in the office, Amy. On the shelf, and they're in a little box that you just pull them out in the packets. And if there aren't any there, ask Joan, then she might have a new box to put out.
I think there were some sitting there. I saw them today.
Okay, yep, they've been back there.
Yeah, I have those little packets everywhere. I have them in my purse. I have them in my book bag. I have them in our junk drawer in the kitchen. They're great for cleaning the glasses too. So we use a lot. Okay, so keep in mind that tomorrow night is app mashup. And basically, we're all going to get on and share the apps that we like, whether it's educational or organizational or games or whatever. And so I started a spreadsheet. It's in the email that I sent you guys. And I know that I saw that Mary Jane H. I'd added one so far. But if you decide to join us tomorrow, if you could add the apps you want to talk about in that spreadsheet beforehand, that would be great, but you can do it after too. But that way then I'll share that spreadsheet out with everybody, and then we'll all have, all those great apps that everybody's recommending. That way you don't have to say, okay, what was that app again? And that way you guys have it. So, and same thing with these directions here. I will send those out in an email to you folks, probably tonight yet. If I don't get hooked on Netflix, I'll do that. But so if there's not any other questions, this is good. I'm glad we had a big group here tonight. That's awesome. All right. So anything else, anybody? No. All right. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Mary.
Bye.
Thanks,
All
Mary.
right,
Bye.
thanks, Mary.